Hi everybody, how are you? Well, today we are going to start with the Russian Revolution. Before we start, what you have to know is that in 1914, World War I started, and Russia was one of the countries who fought the war. The Russian Revolution started in 1917, that is to say, 3 years later than the World War I had started. So it was the first country, Russia was the first country, which was involved in a revolution in the middle of the war. That is to say, Russia was fighting the war, and at the same time, he suffered a revolution. Which were the main causes of the Russian Revolution of 1917? Mainly the detrimental effects of World War I. Another cause to analyze is the corrupt and incompetent conduct of the war by the government of Russia, that is to say, by the Tsar Nicholas II. Another important cause was the Tsar's Nicholas II decision of firing the commander-in-chief because Russia was being defeated in World War I, battle after battle, and he decided to fire the commander-in-chief, and he put himself at the front of the troops. Another important aspect and cause to analyze is the anarchy existing in Russia at that time, because Russia was governed by Tsarina Alexandra, the German woman, and Rasputin. Another cause was the collapse of the train system in Russia, and because of that there was shortage of food in congested cities and also for soldiers. And the legacy of bitterness of the 1905 revolutionary movement that we have already studied. We are going to start analyzing the causes that I have already mentioned, and the first one that we studied is the detrimental effects of World War I on Russia. Well, as you know, when any war starts, all the money that the government has is directed to support the war. And in this case, Russia was the first country to be engulfed by revolution. People were starving. There was high inflation, and obviously there was unemployment, because all the money was directed, all the revenue, the government money was directed to fight the war. That is to say, there was a terrible economic chaos in Russia, and that was one of the causes for the Russian Revolution. Another important aspect to take into account is the corruption and the incompetence by the government in the conduct of the war. Russian soldiers were inadequately supplied, and they were ill-equipped and badly armed. They didn't have the corresponding or the adequate shoes, clothes for the winter, and obviously weapons. Something similar happened in our country with the Malvinas War. Okay, to make things worse, there were no campaign hospitals, so soldiers who were wounded did not have the necessary support as regards health in order to recover. Some soldiers died frozen because of the winter, and some of them died because of gangrene, because infections couldn't be treated. So the 15 million soldiers that were sent to fight World War I suffered these consequences, and that is why Russia was one of the countries who had the greatest number of deaths in World War I. Another cause to take into account that we have just mentioned is connected with this fact of the war was the shortage of food. The Russian railway system, collapsed, and people did not have the necessary food to survive, not only in the war theater, that is to say where war was fought, but also in congested cities. So there were famines, there were huge and long queues for just a piece of bread and soup. That it was really, really the desperate situation. Another cause was the Tsar's decision of firing the commander-in-chief. As Russia was losing battle after battle in the front, you will study in World War I that Russia fought in the eastern side of the war against Germany, and Russia was being defeated by Germany, and Germany was getting more and more in the Russian territory. So when the Tsar saw this situation, he committed a stupid blunder. That is to say, he fired the commander-in-chief and he put himself at the front of the troops. Obviously, the situation did not change because it was not a responsibility of the commander-in-chief. It was the responsibility of the Russian government, because most soldiers were, as we said before, ill-equipped, badly armed, and didn't have the necessary clothes in order to survive in the winter of Russia. So the situation did not change. Russia continued losing battle after battle, and the responsibility now was not put on the commander-in-chief, was put on the Tsar, who replaced the commander-in-chief and put himself and named himself as commander-in-chief. So all the blame was put on the Tsar. So that was another cause of the Russian Revolution. Another important cause and a consequence of that measure was the anarchy existing in Russia. Russia was completely unprotected because, as the Tsar had left to fight the war, there was no one who could rule Russia, and because Russia was in hands of Tsarina Alexandra. Imagine, Tsarina Alexandra was hated by the Russians. Why? Because she was German and Russia was fighting the war against German. She was called the German woman, Tsarina Alexandra. And to make things worse, Tsarina Alexandra and Nicholas II had a son. That son was hemophilic. He suffered that consequence, that illness, and practically all doctors who had seen their son told them that it was an illness which was impossible to cure. So the son was at the point of dying until Rasputin appeared on the scene. Rasputin, who was said to have hypnotic power, cured their hemophilic son. And obviously, when he cured the son, Rasputin gained the status as if he was a god. So Tsarina gave him all the power to rule Russia. They were incompetent. They were not skillful. Even they were more incompetent and less skillful than Nicholas II himself. So people were fed up with this situation with Rasputin. In fact, it is said that Rasputin was Tsarina Alexandra's lover. So while the Tsar was fighting the war, Tsarina Alexandra was with Rasputin. So the nobility of Russia was fed up with this situation. Rasputin was a very, very tall man, approximately 2 meters and 15 centimeters. And the nobility, as I told before, was fed up with this situation, and they decided that it was time to give Rasputin a final blow. So they decided to kill Rasputin. They invited Rasputin to have dinner, and they poisoned the food. Unbelievably, Rasputin didn't die with the poisoned food, and at that moment, the nobility, the members of the ones who were in the dinner, decided that they had to kill him anyway, and they shot Rasputin. When they shot Rasputin, Rasputin didn't die. And so he was at the point of dying, but he didn't die. So he was beaten, and finally he was drowned. And then at that moment when he was drowned, he just died. So they got rid of Rasputin, but the problem was that Tsarina Alexandra continued ruling Russia, and that was something which was not good for Russia, sorry, because there was chaos everywhere. Chaos broke out, and at that moment, strikes started everywhere. Approximately 250,000 workers were on strike. Remember that strikes started in the 1905 revolutionary movement, and we said that one of the consequences of that movement was that it was a dress rehearsal for the Russian Revolution, and in fact it was. Well, there were the most important causes of the Russian Revolution. In next class, we are going to study the different stages, that is to say, the course of the revolution, of the Russian Revolution, that, remember, started in 1917, when Russia was in the middle of World War I. See you next class. Bye-bye.